welcome. We are connecting today from Turin, from Italy, and from IULM University, where our speakers are going to introduce the International Program for Strategic Communication. And we have a very special guest as well, Vittorio Cino, from the Coca-Cola company, who will also speak about his professional and didactic experience. Let us know where you're connecting from in the chat. Let us know where you are. It's always interesting to find out where people are connecting from. In a few minutes, I will leave the floor to our speakers. We'll see how many people have connected, and you're already using the questions. Great. We have somebody connecting from Nigeria, the Ukraine, from Saudi Arabia, from Malta. Hello, hello. And let us know what you're studying, what your interests are. We have someone from Ghana. Hello. Great. In a few minutes, we will start the presentation. And remember to use the Q&A section, which is in the bottom of your screen, where you can ask questions. And at the end of the presentation, we will ask them directly to our speakers, and they will address them for you. Okay. I think we're almost ready to start. We have someone from Brazil. Hello, somebody who studied media arts. I know from the registrations that people are connecting from all over the world. And we are very happy to have you here today and to present IULM University in Italy. Okay. So, Professor Rumenti, if you're ready to start.
Yes.
Floor to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So welcome to everybody. Good evening. I am the coordinator of the Master Program in Strategic Communication, and today I would like to share with you some data and some reflections about the trends about strategic communication in the world, in the professional field. And then I will also try to describe which are the main features of our master program and the main characteristics of its courses, the relationships with companies, and also the relationships with other kinds of university all over the world. As you can see, and there is also another person next to me. She is a graduate. She has been just graduated in the last month, Nicole. So she will talk about her experience and about in the master program in strategic communication. Okay, so just a few words about what is it all about? What does that mean? So what does that mean about strategic communication? If you look for strategic communication in Google, for instance, which are the findings that you can see? You can see millions of findings. In 2020, as you can see, there are more than 400 findings about strategic communication, because strategic communication is a trend topic, because it is a very interesting and it is an expanding field of professional field. And what is really important is that strategic communication is a sort of overarching term that is transversal to different kinds of sectors and of organizations. I don't know if you know these three ladies, but they are three ladies very important in the professional field of strategic communication. The first one is Sherry Johnson, and she is the Director of Strategic Communication and Community Engagement at Stafford County Public School. So she works in the public sector, in the public schools, because in the United States, for instance, the field and the sector of strategic communication is very important in order to cultivate and to engage the communities around the schools themselves. And then the other one is Mercedes Schlapp. She is the White House Director of Strategic Communication. So you can see that strategic communication is also an important field, an important sector of activity also at the White House. And finally, you have seen the last lady. She is the former Lithuanian president, Dalia Grybauskaitė. So it's very difficult to pronounce his name, but she was opening the ceremony of the NATO Strategic Communication Center of Excellence, because also the NATO, so also the military sector, strategic communication is very, very important. Why strategic communication is a funding topic, why strategic communication is an expanding field from a professional point of view. Because strategic communication encompasses all communication that is substantial for the survival and sustained success of an entity. And when we talk about an entity, we mean corporations, obviously, so profit organizations, obviously, but also governments, but also non-profit organizations, but also social movements, and also persons, also celebrities can use strategic communication. What is important is that strategic communication is crucial, and it is central for the success of an entity. So it is also concerned with conversations of strategic significance to the goals of this entity, and obviously in this case it is very linked with the formulation, implementation, the execution of strategies. So what you can see is that not all communications are strategic, but obviously communications that are strategic are communications that can support and develop the business success of an organization. And strategic communication can take place in a variety of arenas, ranging from the global spheres of mass media, but also throughout social media, and also throughout private talks between the consumers, employees, and also analysts. So, which are the most important strategic issues for the communication, for the strategic communication and for the communication management? Obviously, the first one is the link with business strategy. So communication should be always linked with the business strategy in the strategic communication field, and strategic communication professionals should be able to translate the business strategy and the corporate strategy into communication strategy. Then it's really important for professionals to cope with the digital evolution, to use big data, to use algorithms, and obviously to expand and to strengthen the role of the communication function, also trying to be able to explain which is the value that communication creates to top executives. I want to show you this graph. It is a very interesting graph because it shows you that more than 80%, more precisely 84% of the market value of companies, we are talking about the most important companies, is an intangible value. So it is connected, it is based on intangible value. What does it mean? It means that more than 80% of the value of the most important companies is based on reputation, relationships, brands, image, and so on. So that's the reason why communication is more and more strategic between organizations, because strategic communicators should manage relationships, brand, and all the intangible assets of an organization. If you can see at this graphic, that's really crucial because most of the strategic communicators have some difficulties in arguing their value and the relevance of their role towards other managers, towards clients, towards top managers, and towards executives. So that is really, really important as a function. And if you look at some trends identified by headhunters in the job market, you can see that headhunters say that communications is much more than communications. So communication and strategic communication is a key driver of business strategy. It's something else, it's something beyond just a tactical or operational support or a support function for business strategy. So that is really, really important. That is a trend that we are discussing in Europe, we are discussing in the United States, and in other continents and in other countries. So it is a global trend. And as you can see also, strategic communication should view the entire organization as a playing field, and their expertise, so the expertise of strategic communicators can provide important support even beyond their functional area of responsibility. So these are key concepts and key reflections for strategic communication professionals, and these are the key competencies and the key knowledge that we try to teach to our students. So now I will leave the floor to Vittorio Cino, who is the European Affairs Director of Coca-Cola Company and is our professor of public affairs and digital advocacy. As Vittorio, please try to tell to our public which are the trends, the main trends in the field of public affairs and digital advocacy, and which are also the methodologies, the learning methodologies by which you try to teach these competencies to your students.
Yes, thank you, Stefania. Well, I'll try to, in few words, I'll try to summarize the concept behind this course, strategic communication, and in particular, I'll try to condensate the main outcome that my specific discipline, public affairs digital advocacy, should provide to students. Well, first of all, my role as a public affairs director in Coca-Cola showed me the more and more relevant importance of contamination among competences and skills. And this is one of the main concepts behind the course. As you can see, I add to my professional experience also a teacher experience. In a strategic course, my main task is to deal with public affairs and advocacy, and digital advocacy in particular. Why this apparently strange combination of words? First, we speak about public affairs, we speak about an issue that is quite ambiguous in the normal literature, in the sense that the word public affairs is used in multiple sense in different contexts. When in reality, when we think about public affairs, we mean any kind of communication activity dealing with political and institutional stakeholders. So, for example, lobbying activities, of course, is something that apparently is at the core of the public affair, but in reality, not only lobbying activity is part of this discipline. Any kind of activity related to community, for example, local community, can be included in a public affair. Any kind of communication activity at the international level within some international organization, or between NGO and some international organization, can be considered as part of public affair activity. So public affair is a very large cap under which we can include a lot of activity that have some common purpose. First, reputation. Reputation is becoming more and more important, not only for brands, not only for business, but for any organization that is part of the communication world. Why? Because reputation is the real secret receipt for any success in the communication world. for business, for other not business purposes, and for any other needs, also from some public organization, for example. So reputation, the first factor part of the objective of any public affair activity. Second is to create a good, let's say, context in which any business can operate. This is very important because maybe an important evolution from the past in terms of public affair is that until few years ago, public affair was just a function annexed, linked to the business. Now, public affair is an important competence, integrated part of the business that contribute to the success of any business. And this is particularly crucial in this world, in this new globalized world, in which what happens in every part of the world is of a paramount importance to any brand, to any business. Then you can see that I said before that public affair is linked to advocacy, and this is a new revolution in communication. The new concept of advocacy applied to business. The concept of advocacy started some years ago, mainly as part of the communication campaign managed by bigger no-profit organization. We can, for example, mention some also recent campaign. For example, have a look to the famous Greenpeace campaign towards marine litter. This is a world campaign developed by Greenpeace in the last 10 years and created a lot of success in terms of outcomes. In fact, any aspect correlated to the plastic limit, single plastic use ban was created by this campaign, actually. This is a good example of advocacy. Well, more and more often, this kind of concepts are becoming part also of a company communication activity. So more and more often, big organization, also business organization, include concept of advocacy as part of their communication activity. And of course, public affair and advocacy are, particularly important to combine all together, because let's say the famous word in this new world is contamination. And in communication, contamination is a fundamental. Contamination of competences, contamination of skills, and combined public affair advocacy is sometimes one of the secret weapons that many organizations use to obtain successful communication campaigns. That's why we think that also in a classroom, try to develop a sort of a combination of different competencies together in a single lesson can be very helpful in order to, to create the right mindset for students to approach the new professional challenges for the professional future. That's why I think, and I concluded this first part of my conversation with you, I think in terms of the future and in terms of also of possible potential professional opportunities, what we try to obtain our course is, of course, to have an integrated approach among disciplines, among skills again, through, of course, multiple example, case studies, exercises in which we can have this kind of approach. I think that I would like to stop here because maybe in the next minutes I can respond to some questions if you can have some.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Vittorio. And now I want just to summarize some key pillars, the 5 pillars, of our master program, because I'm very I can say that in our teachers, our professors are very focused on these pillars. First of all, you can see the structure of the courses. You know that it is published on the website, but what I want to say to tell you is that as you can see, you start with the first semester of the first year with some generic more generic courses. They are courses about strategy, management, organizational behavior, neuromanagement, strategic communication, and so on. And in the second semester of the first year, as you can see, there are some courses about more about competencies, transversal competencies, such as reputation management, identity management, but also digital communication manager, because as we mentioned before, strategic communicators should also cope with digital evolution. And also courses about content management and storytelling. The second year is much more specialized. So in the first semester of the second year, you can find some courses about some specialties of strategic communication, such as crisis communication, CSR communication, data analysis for communication, public affairs, financial communication, and so on. And in the second semester of the second year, students are free to go abroad, for instance, for exchanges, Erasmus, double degree, to make an internship in a company, or to select a field project. So the second semester, the second year, they can select and they can choose among the different kinds of options. As you have seen, so our topics and the topics of our master programs are focused on some communication, the communication field, but also the management field. So what is important for strategic communicators is to be able to know very well communication topics and how to communicate, communication tools and so on, but also to be very conscious of what does it mean to work within an organization. So which is a strategy, what is a strategy, what is a mission, what is a vision, and so to be able to manage and to know very well organizations. Obviously, for us are very important also the soft skills. So, for instance, we have activated a job fitness center, which is a special program for our students in order to acquire some soft skills. And for instance, our students should make presentations of projects more or less for each course in the master program. So they should also be able to make presentations for pitch elevators, because they make a lot of projects for companies, and at the end of these projects they should be able to sell their ideas to be very effective in front of the managers of these companies. So as also Vittorio Cino mentioned before, our students and the learning, the teaching methods are focused on simulations. For instance, our students simulate a crisis, a real crisis, with a special, with a specialized consultancy agency. They make a lot of assignments because we think that for strategic communicators also written competencies and are really important. They discuss case studies and they prepare and they work on a lot of projects and companies' briefs. What about faculty? So Vittorio Cino is a professor. He is a professor of public affairs and digital advocacy. He is a professional. So and the course is he teaches the course together with an academic. She is, for instance, Chiara Valentini, who is a professor of public affairs at the University of Jyväskylä in Finland. So she is more academic. She teaches theories, models, and Vittorio integrates these theories and concepts with more practical exercises, case studies, and more practical content. students. We have, for instance, also for the course of CSR communication, one of the most, I think, well-known professor in the area. She's Laura Illia, professor of CSR communication at the Fribourg University. For crisis communication, we have another professional, is Luciano Luffarelli, who is the director of Piaggio Aerospace. So our faculty is a mixed faculty. We have academics together with professionals to teach mixed courses. We have a lot of open lessons during the year because we invite visiting professors, we invite professionals from all over the world, as you can see, for instance, and we offer the opportunity to our students to enter into contact with different kinds of realities. For what concerns international partnerships, okay, we stimulate our students to go abroad, and we have different kinds of programs. Here you can see just some examples. These are examples of universities for Erasmus and exchanges. So from Sweden, UK, Australia, Belgium, Canada, but also Dubai, Cairo, Hong Kong. So we have a partnership with all over the world. These are just some examples very focused on strategic communication. And we have also 2 double degrees. So it means that you go there, you go in Huddersfield or in Cardiff, UK, and you attend the courses in the second semester of the second year, and you gain a certificate. So at the Huddersfield University, you can take the postgraduate certificate in marketing communications. At the Cardiff Metropolitan University, you can get the postgraduate certificate in international business management. So it's these are other opportunities, and we are developing new double degrees with other universities, also outside UK. We also in 2019 and also in the next year, for instance, we have developed a summer school. It's a very special summer school because it's a summer school in Latin America in order to offer to our students the opportunity to be in touch with new cultures and to meet not only professors in Chile, but also a lot of managers of companies, for instance, Italian or multinational companies, which developed their business in Chile. So that's really interesting because our students did an intensive course of 3 weeks about international business and communication, and they interacted with managers and professors in this kind of reality in Latin America. What is very important for us is and are the relationships with companies. So we have an advisory board with a lot of corporate communication officers. These are just some of the companies that developed relationships with us for developing projects, briefs, for internships, and because they teach in our classrooms. So the relationships with companies are very, very intense with our master program. And finally, our students have the opportunity to make a lot of internships in different kinds of organizations. So you can see some consultancy agencies, cultural Teatro La Scala, so cultural institutions in the field of, I don't know, the fashion. You can see Sky, so television, and so on. So you can see the fact that our students work in different sectors and different kinds of organizations. Okay, so I think that it's the time to leave the floor to Nicole, just to listen to her and her experience. Nicole.
So good evening, everyone. I just graduated here in Strategic Communication at IULM University a few months ago. As you can see, for the internships available, I just started before graduated an internship in Accenture in the digital marketing department. And after graduated and a few weeks ago, I changed everything. I decided to leave Accenture because an opportunity was offered to me to go in a cosmetic company a very small cosmetic company, but they bet on me because they offer me a role as a communication and marketing manager. So that I'm very happy. And also for the whole academic master that I attend, in fact, I think that the first year gave you the basis to understand the big concept and the big topic of strategic communication. And the second year give you the possibility to understand which is the topic that you are interested more. So you can find your path in this 2 years course. And then I had also the opportunity to go in a dual degree. I went to Cardiff, and it was an amazing experience because going to another university helps you to open mind, to think differently, to make in touch with people that are coming from other countries. In fact, we were 30 persons in the class, more or less 20 from China and other Asian countries, but also people from the UK, people from Italy, of course, my schoolmates. And it was very interesting because it was different from the Italian way of teaching and learning, but it was amazing to understand how a different way of learning can help you to develop a new way of thinking. So I'm here if you have any question. I don't know what you're interested in to know more on, like projects that we have done. It's very practical. It's very operational. You are in the situation to develop a different way of thinking, in the sense that every topic, for example, crisis communication or public advocacy, there's not so more to learn, but it's the way that you think to solve a problem, an issue in the different fields, what our professors taught us in these 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. I
You're
think
welcome.
that probably they have some questions for you. And I want just to conclude because just to conclude to say that for us, very important entry requirements, it's very important the level of English. So if you are the level B2, so you need a certification like IELTS or other official certifications in order to be accepted. And then you have to contact our admission offices, because if you are not Italian students, there is a path in order to be evaluated. For instance, you have to register a video in order to describe which is your motivation to apply for the Strategic Communication Master Program. And first of all, we evaluate your video. If you are an Italian student, you have to make a test and to make an interview. So we have different paths for different students on the basis of their country of origin. But so what I would suggest to you is to contact our admission offices in order to know which are the steps to be completed. Thank you so much for your attention, and we are here at your disposal for questions.
Thank you very much, Professor Romenti and Nicole and Mr. Vittorio Cino. That was very interesting. We have a lot of interesting questions for all of you. The first one, maybe we could ask to both Professor Romenti and Vittorio Cino. Is the difference between strategic communication and mass communication? If there is any, are they the same thing, or is there a difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Vittorio, can I start? Okay, strategic communication is based on the main concept that each organization should cultivate relationships with its publics. And while mass communications most of the time does not differentiate publics, but throughout mass media, for instance, companies try to diffuse messages to targets and very wide audiences. For us, strategic communication is the strategic communication plan, for instance, it's very important to understand publics, to listen to them, to analyze them. So our students learn to segmentate publics on the basis of some variables, and they prepare, they are able to prepare plans that try to include the characteristics of publics, and they are more effective for some publics, but probably less effective for other ones. So that is, I think, the main difference. Vittorio, do you want to add something?
Well, just to stress the point that you did regarding the fact that strategic communication focuses more on the concept of relations, while mass communication is a part of the integrated communication activity. It is a very large concept, while the strategic communication is much more focused on the concept of relation between any organization and its publics.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have a lot of questions about admission requirements. The admission requirements, how can people apply? What do they need to get together?
Yeah, so what is important is that, first of all, we evaluate the bachelor, so the path, the academic path of the student. So that is a very personal evaluation. So the student should send to our admission offices all the documents about their bachelor and their previous academic experience, and we try to evaluate this academic experience, and we try to see if it is coherent with our master program. So first of all, your bachelor, and second, your level of English. And third, your motivation. So it's really important for us because we ask for you to be motivated and to demonstrate your motivation and to register a video, or to make also throughout our interview, for instance, we try to understand not what you have studied, but which is your motivation behind your choice. So why you want to attend a master program in strategic communication. So for us, it is very important. So level of English, your previous bachelor, and your motivation.
Thank you, Professoressa. There are questions about the IELTS score requirements. What level do you ask for students to have if they're foreign?
Okay, it's I think that, so the level is around 6.5. That is really important because for students who want to follow the double degree, because then when you attend also other universities in order to take the second title, the other universities require some levels which is minimum 6 or 6.5. So we require this level.
Thank you. I would like to remind our students, our participants, that the Q&A section is at the bottom of the screen. So, because some of you are using the chat to ask questions, but it's easier if you use the Q&A section. So look at the bottom of your screen and ask your questions there, please. So the next question is about the number of students, more or less, that you intake every year.
Yes. Okay, we are 100 places available, and we have also some more places just for international students. So we have 100 of places available, but we have some more places for international students because we are very interested in a class which is very international. So we consider all the application of our international students.
Thank you very much. Maybe a question for Mr. Chino. The question is, does strategic communication have a link with business communication?
Interesting question. Yes, for sure. Yes, any communication that involves executive and manager deal with the business communication. So the answer is definitely yes. Even if I have to say the strategic communication and public affairs, that is the issues that I deal with, is more correlated to the external world, in particular to institutional stakeholders. But sometimes it's the same thing, because sometimes organizations, companies need to solve some business issues having to deal with different stakeholders, and in particular political stakeholders. So definitely business communication and strategic communication are very linked each other.
Thank you very much. About fees and scholarships, are there any options for international students to apply?
Yes, there are some options. It's really difficult to explain all the options, but I invite students who are interested in these options to contact our admission offices, because there are some options of internship, yes. Of grants.
Great. Are there any particular deadlines to apply for the grants?
There are different opportunities. So yes, there are different deadlines, but I think that they are all before the summer.
Great, thank you. The overall fee of the degree, could you tell us more or less the overall fee?
The fee is about 9,000.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Professor Romenti, how long does this master last?
It lasts 2 years.
2 years, okay.
Yes, because that is a master, it is a 2-year master, yes.
Okay, and we have a question from a participant who is a graduate of history. He or she is wondering whether they can apply for this program.
We need to see the documents about the plan of study, which are the subjects that she studied, because it is very, very difficult to say and to evaluate without seeing the documents, because you know, there are different kinds of bachelor programs. For instance, also in history, there are some subjects or topics, for instance, in history about communication that can be cleared. So I'd like to see the documents before answering.
Wonderful. What about communication, media, and journalism? If people have studied these areas, does it fit with the masters? Could they apply?
Now, okay, so the focus of our master program is on the our master program prepares professionals who are able to develop and to manage relationships with media and with journalists and with different kinds of media. We don't, it is not a master program for journalists. or for persons who just work in the media field, even if since they study about content management, narrative, and so on, probably our students can also try to develop their professional path in the journalism or in the media area if they want. But we prepare persons who are able to manage relationships with media and with journalists. That is our main focus.
Great, thank you. Maybe a question for Mr. Cino. A company like Coca-Cola, what sort of profile do you look for interviews, and what sort of candidates do you consider usually?
Well, it's a very vast question in the sense that Coca-Cola is a global company present in every country, and it deals with different topics, coming from environment to industry, from climate to water. So in reality, of course, our business is food and drink, in particular drink. But in terms of communication skills, we need any kind of communication professionals, and normally we have different internship programs in every country, in particular in marketing communication, but also in public affairs or in strategic communication. So it's very difficult to condensate how many profiles, but definitely we offer different options for students that want to exploit their scholarship in a business.
Thank you very much. A question again about the level of English that is required for international students. Do you accept all kinds of exams? Does it have to be IELTS? Does it have to be something else? Or
yes, IELTS and other official certifications. So again, what we see and what we ask to international students is to send us their certifications, and we are very quick to answer to these questions since we analyze the documentation. So we take into consideration also other official certifications, obviously, yes.
Great, thank you. There's a person who has an MBA in international business. Is it possible for them to apply? Is it interesting for you as a candidate?
Oh, that's really interesting, because we have in our class some students who, for instance, had a bachelor or studied economics, management and business, so they know very well organizations, and they are very brilliant students because they know very well organizations, they know numbers, so they are very, very brilliant, and we have seen that they appreciate very much the path in strategic communication. So I think that it could be coherent, yes.
Thank you very much, Professor Ressa. What about the companies that you collaborate with? Could you tell us just a few that maybe you work with for the students can contact if they are part of your cohort?
You mean the companies? We collaborate with dozens of companies, so you probably have met in the class so many companies.
Yes, every time we have lessons, there are special guests from companies and professionals, so you have the possibility to take the contact and to contact them by LinkedIn or via email. So they are very, very reliable, and yeah. I think I did a lot of contacts during the class, during the lectures in particular.
During the lectures and then for internships, so we have dozens and dozens of relationships and contacts with companies. So we try also to understand, we try the desiderata of our students. For instance, some students prefer to work in the fashion area, in the fashion sector, and we try to help them to find the contacts and internships in this sector. Other students prefer, for instance, international institutions such as NATO or United Nations and so on, and we try to develop relationships with this kind of institutions and to find also for them some internships or other contacts. So we try also to support our students in trying to achieve their goals and their desiderata. Yes.
Thank you very much. A very nice question about inspiration. Are there any particular books or newspapers or films that somebody who's getting into strategic communication could have a look at?
Okay, yes, that's a really interesting question, because I think that you can, so there are a lot of books. They are quite big books because our students study them during the master course. So what I would suggest is to, for instance, I would suggest two things. I would suggest to watch some videos about strategic communication, because what is really interesting, we share some videos also during our lessons. What is really interesting is that in the web you can find some videos about what is strategic communication from very credible sources, such as NATO, for instance, or other professionals in the field. So I think that students can start to watch some videos, and then if you want to read something, you can very easily in the web find a paper about the definition of strategic communication in Google with a paper by Hallan, H-A-L-L-A-N, which is a scholar, and is the first scholar who tried to define strategic communication. So it's really interesting. If you want to write also to me, I can provide these sources.
Thank you very much. Maybe can I ask Mr. Chino as well if he has any inspirational material he would like to share with our participants?
Well, I don't want to repeat what Stefano Romenti said, because I agree with her, but maybe we can add something regarding suggestions. There is an interesting website called the IULM Report. It's an American website covering all the public relation activities. Can be very interesting because sometimes they share campaigns, videos concerning public relation, and that could be useful. In terms of books, I think there are a lot of books. You can just type strategic communication in any search engine, you can find dozens of books. Probably I would prefer books with case histories, so practical books more than theories, because sometimes showing and understanding how in concrete terms organizations deal with communication problems can be very helpful.
Thank you very much. I think that's the end of the questions. I'm going to ask you if you have a last thing you would like to share with our participants. I would like to thank you very much. Thank Nicole, thank Professor Sarmenti, and thank Vittorio Chino. It was extremely interesting. Thank our participants. You connected from all over the world. I would like to remind you also that tomorrow we're going to send an email with all the necessary information to get in touch with IULM. Here are the contacts. We will add those in the email as well. Yes, and it was a collaboration between IULM University and Dog City. And I'm going to leave the floor now if you want to say one last thing, and thank you very much.
Nicole.
Well, the only thing that I would say is not to be afraid about your bachelor path, because if you have the right motivation, this course is very inspiring and you can find really what you want to do in the right like topic related to strategic communications.
Thank you.
So we are waiting for you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank
Bye.
you so much. Thanks again. Look out for our emails and for all the information, and get in touch with IULM, and we will see you very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.